now, Religion in the News, a report and comment on religious trends and events being covered by the media. This week's item is from the Associated Press, February 26, 2007, with a headline, Followers of Self-Proclaimed Antichrist Don 666 Tattoos. The following are excerpts. Surrounded by a mob of news cameras, a group of smiling, well-dressed church members crowded into a South Beach storefront parlor on a recent muggy evening and got matching tattoos of their prophet symbol, 666. Members of Growing in Grace, a controversial religious sect headquartered just northwest of Miami in Doral, said they were following the example of their leader, Jose Luis de Jesus Miranda, who has claimed to be Jesus and recently declared himself the Antichrist. De Jesus, who preaches that sin and the devil were destroyed when Jesus died on the cross and that God's chosen already have been saved, has built a massive movement around his claim to divinity. In his sermons, De Jesus emphasizes wealth and success as a sign of God's favor. Many of his members are business owners who give a percentage of their corporate profits to De Jesus, said Alvaro Albarracin, who oversees corporate donations to the church. De Jesus had just a few hundred followers when he launched his church in a Hialeah warehouse about 20 years ago. Today, he commands a global movement from his Doral headquarters that boast 335 education centers, 200 pastors, 287 radio programs, and a 24-hour Spanish-language TV network that's available to 2 million homes. In 1988, De Jesus announced he was the reincarnation of the Apostle Paul. In 1999, he dubbed himself the Other, a spiritual super being who would pave the way for Christ's second coming. In 2004, he proclaimed himself to be Jesus Christ. That claim caused defection from the movement, including De Jesus' first wife, Nydia, and his son, Jose Luis Jr. In January, during a worship service at the church, De Jesus took off his coat and revealed the numbers 666 on his forearm.
Dave, what do you say about this? First of all, here's a man. He starts out as the Apostle Paul, gets a following.
Reincarnation of Paul.
That slows down for a bit. Then he becomes Jesus Christ, and obviously increases his numbers, but looking for something new, something to move him up to the next level. And then he declares himself to be the Antichrist. P.T. Barnum, he's got to be the patron saint of all this stuff. You can dupe people no matter what. The people are gullible to the max.
Well, but thankfully, as he said, you can fool all the people some of the time, some of the people all the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. So some of the people left, and maybe their eyes finally were open, and yet they'd been deceived all along by this guy.
Right.
Now, they're not Christians, of course. They never were. To imagine that Jesus is walking around there, or to imagine that sin and the devil were destroyed when Jesus died on the cross. Well, but Paul was writing considerably after the death of Jesus on the cross. James and John were writing, and they say, your adversary, the devil, goes about as a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour, whom resist steadfast in the faith. So it's simply not biblical. We go by the Bible, Tom, because the Bible knows what it's talking about. It's been proven, and we don't follow men. Well, but it also sounds a bit like, some of the positive confession teachers. He emphasizes wealth and success as a sign of God's favor.
He's covering all his bases there.
Yeah, and so he's got a lot of business owners. They're giving a percentage of their corporate profits. Wow.
Young people, there's an item. Let's show everybody our 666. That's in-your-face kind of religion, isn't it?
Yeah. Tom, this is really a fulfillment of prophecy. Jesus said there would be false prophets, false Christs who would claim to be Christ, and they would have large followings. Now, this man is not the only Jesus Christ, quote unquote, walking around the world. I've met a few others.
Well, Dave, we see images of Christ through movies, all kinds of films, even those that profess to be just according to the Scriptures.
Yeah. It's another false Christ. So this man, obviously, Tom, he's a bit confused, more than a bit confused, because he keeps going from one thing to another. He doesn't even know who he is.
Right. Well, Dave, I know, and this has happened before, when we address the issue of the Antichrist, people get worried. They get concerned. Is it possible that I'm going to be tripped up, that I'm going to take the mark of the beast? Can you address that for a second?
Well, if you're a real Christian, you will not. Furthermore, if you're a real Christian, you won't be here when the Antichrist appears.
Yeah, so obviously this guy can't even be the Antichrist.
No.
Even though he has an Antichrist spirit.
Right. Second Thessalonians chapter 2 makes that very clear. It says, you know what prevents him from being revealed in his time. The man of sin can only be revealed in his time, and what prevents him? The presence upon this earth of the church. The restrainer is the Holy Spirit indwelling Christians. So Christians, first of all, any Christians out there, don't get concerned that you might be taking the sign of the Antichrist if you use a credit card, that's not the sign of the Antichrist.
Right. Or
you're not going to be here.
Or you find a barcode on your can of soup.
Yeah.
It's a 666.
Yeah. But, Tom, amazing that, his following keeps growing. And let me look at this again. 335 education centers, 200 pastors, 287 radio programs, 24-hour Spanish language TV network available in 2 million homes. I mean, see, when Jesus in Matthew 24 said, many will come in my name, saying I am Christ, and shall deceive many, he's not talking about just a handful of followers. It sounds to me like this man has deceived many. It's a tragedy, Tom, and it's just another confirmation of what Christ said. We're in the last days.
Mm-hmm. Dave, as you mentioned in our first segment, when you're talking about Dawkins and these men, these atheists, anti-God, and now we have the other side of it. Under the guise of spirituality, religion, we have an Antichrist spirit, but they're both the same.
But in the name of Christ. That's amazing. That's what Christ said it would be.
For more information about the Berean call us toll-free at our order number or visit our website